That's the brain you want to shake by taking that train and getting over with it, and then don't bellyache, man. And if you have a moment or two on the train with a fine feminine fatale, or you are the feminine fatale and having it with a fine gentleman, I hope so. Wow, man. Way back in the day, wouldn't you say, 1972, 1975, 1978? By 85, it was pretty much over. Desert Moon was gone, and so was that kind of life. But guess what? When you live, good times in your youngsterhood, well, guess what? You're going to be good times in your olderhood, too, for the rest of forever. It's just one moment's going to build on another. No matter how life goes or which way it takes you, you're always going to have a great attitude because you got one back then, man, and you started to realize that life was there not just for you, but because of you, too, and then everyone else that surrounds us, baby. See, when you're young, you get that ego thing going on, that sense of separation, that desire to be something stronger and bigger and better or whatever it is than everybody else. Myself, I tempered all that kind of stuff in my childhood with a rage and rebellion so that, they would know that there was a generation here, or at least one of that generation, that wasn't going to take it anymore. You see, everybody else before me and after me, and I came from a rather large family, just followed in the flow of the steps that were prescribed for them, don't you know, despite anything they felt that might have been contrary to that or would have made them question that way in any way. I mean, I'm sure it hurt at times to just give up and let go and just let them take you away on that little radio show we call life, but that's what everybody there was doing. And of course they had lots of issues and problems because of that. The sexual suppression led to a lot of regressive attitudes and stuff that wasn't too progressive at all. We don't need to give it life now or even talk about it. But you know what I mean, the assault on children, etc. When you're suppressed, all kinds of weird things come up. And some people can't contain or control that kind of stuff. Of course, it always happens behind closed doors and nobody's supposed to know, but even if it's so shocking it goes way inside and you block it out for a long time, it's still there. And sooner or later it will bubble to the surface, and you just better be ready to deal with it. And not hate these people for their outrageous performances here in this reality, you see. And especially now when so much of that kind of behavior is being revealed, it must be exposed to the light, understand. So just let them get away with it, man. Let them reveal what they want to reveal. They might be telling lies, but you know the truth. You know what's real because you got a heart that can feel. And because you can feel, you feel the impetus behind what others are saying. You feel the sub-psychological communication. And therefore you know whether you're being lied to or told the truth. Doesn't matter if it's intentional or otherwise. You feel the reality of it. And you understand, man, how it works, you see. So, of course, as long as we're still lying to ourselves about a lot of it, that only works partially. But once we get over the lies, once we see ourselves naked and bare right to the bone, man, I'm telling you, and see all of our own little weaknesses too, all the crap we've inherited, everything that was heaped upon us by this life, etc. And see how good we've dealt with it, even though at the time you might have thought your performance was piss poor, tragic as all get out. But in the tragic is the magic, you see. When you get beyond those kind of perceptions, you see it all as progression in the 3D. They're getting back to the heart of our reality. And it takes all of course, man. And my person is her person, and her person is mine. Just like, well, you and I and all the rest of us, too, we're all kind of same old person. I know for some of you that makes life worse, and you say, oh, I'm just a little speck in the cosmic reality, and I thought I was such hot shit, don't you see? Oh, but baby, don't feel that way. Feel this way. Feel what's really there. You're honored for your personal path, baby. You can feel that love flowing through us right now. All of us tuned in here, can't you? Plus those from the great beyond that are here to help us along the way. Family in every way. though they be invisible to us for the most part, and very secretive about their activities here. It's only in our sleeping time that we get to see them, dear. Well, that's all changing. We're rearranging the whole thing, Sleep is like a mini death anyway, and you go there to refresh yourself and get your life back, That's what you do, because you're here on the Everclear Hazy Radio Network, and you're tuned in, turned on, and you're vibing up, baby. That's what we do here, too. We send these good vibes to you from the Rocky Mountain High, and they just flow your way from every direction. It's like an infection that can't be stopped. It's a rampage of love, a tsunami of the mother's embrace and the father's heart too, man. You don't have to worry about it. However you've defined it, well, whatever you see now, that's what's coming true, see. You step beyond this 3D, you allow yourself to see through that third eye, and then you be in the heart-centered reality. That's when your heart and mind find their reunion. And all this deadly need, and it is deadly, baby, for one another to be groped and fondled and all that stuff. All that need for intimacy goes out the window, don't you see? And then you know what real intimacy is, because you are intimately connected with the entire reality, completely satisfied. That's the moment of love that Spring Crick here represents, the beginning, the place where you're so satisfied with life that nothing can go wrong there. You're completely happy in all parts of it. That's kind of a reunion of all these divided energies in life, see? The things we've come to practice and experience here in the 3D, where it was safe for us as heart souls to be in such a warped reality, where, hate was accepted part of life, and division was, well, to the point of cruelty, and way beyond that too, babies, But I don't want you going and feeling blue, no matter what has happened to you, or how you're feeling right now. Perhaps you're as lonely as you could ever be, but not now, don't you see? You feel them rays of love coming your way. That's your own love on display. Comes from others too, babies. That's why you don't want to be afraid to reach out when you do need help. Don't pretend that you know it or you can troop it through all alone, because you don't anyway. Every step we take is guided in one way or another. There's all this assistance here, and programming too, that we're overcoming, baby. See and beyond. That's why I played that little takeoff song, man. Yeah, we're getting higher and higher and higher, man, and we're just taking off. We're just beginning to see that true reality that lives here inside of each one of us, dear. Just barely beginning to see. It's a hazy picture, yet it's clear as can be. You know where home is. Home is in what you see through the heart's eyes, you see, because you hold it inside. That's where the ride home is. And once you're there, you're completely satisfied. There is not a need that isn't fulfilled. Yep, darlings, that's what you get here day after day when old Grandpa Coyote is coming your way here on that Everclear, sweethearted too, Hazy Radio Network, baby. Rocking this little radio network you ever run into. Yeah, babies, you might have come here feeling all blue, but guess what? Here's what we do for you. We are a mood elevator too, man, among other things, baby. So here, let's begin by saluting you and all your good loving too, baby. We love you all so doggone much. Here I'm saluting you with my coffee cup, my official Coyote Club mug, by golly. Clink, clink, clink all the way around this worldwide radio network, baby. We got them clinking in from New Zealand and Australia and just all over the place today, babies. All over this world, wouldn't you say? Oh, especially over there in the UK. Though I think those guys might be sleeping in today. What do you know? I tell you what, you don't want to miss a day of this here radio show we call Spring Crick, don't you know? Well, because it's so refreshing, just like a fresh, cold, clear drink of water right out of a mountain stream or a mountain spring. Oh, my goodness. There's not a better thing in this earth, babies, than that first cold, clear drink of water you get when you put your face down into that spring, that little spring that's just barely coming up out of nowhere. That. How about yours? Can you see the dog in you, that dog nature, that coyote nature? Because that's what it truthfully is. It ain't domesticated like a dog. It don't just necessarily want to, get fed and hang around the house all day or do whatever it is you do. He wants to do something that's really cool. He wants to get out there in the woods, the forest, the trees, he and she, and see what they can see and be what they can be, because that is the nature of the coyote, see. Now, of course, I'm speaking metaphorically, which means to say, have it your way today. The heart's way, man. The coyote way. The joke's always on us, man, just like it is when you wipe out. It's all okay. You're the living truth coming from a tiny sound booth there inside of your own little heart, wouldn't you say? And you can't help it if you're hanging 10 and all of a sudden you're in the water again. Well, baby, that's the way it go, man. When you try to, buck the flow and not go with the flow, see. If you're bucking the flow, if you're trying to swim upstream or, surf on the edge, well, babies, you're bound to, oblige the fates and have a wipeout, wouldn't you say? There in them blue waves of love you've been riding on. Okay, darlings, man, I tell ye, it's just like, free, must be free day Friday on a Wednesday here, eh? Twisting USA. Hey, we're twisting it around, bringing it right side up from the old world, which was totally upside down. Now, you know that for certain, man. You just look around you and see just about everything that should be one way is acting the other, It is a backwards world. All of our, our integrity's out the window when, in fact, integrity shouldn't even be thought of. It should be natural and normal as the wind and rain, and the sun and the stars and everything else, too, including Mother Earth. But, baby, what a lover she is, eh? Don't believe me? Get out and spend some time with your mother today, your Mother Earth, and see what I mean. Maybe you're just down the street from a little park, or maybe you live out in the country, or you're close to the country, and you got your own little spot out there in the woods somewhere, up in the mountains, or wherever you happen to be, man. Get yourself out there today. Set yourself free. I'm a high advocate of, living naturally, but not in the way of the old backwards nature. The way of the true nature of the heart, where everything is indeed flowing in a certain direction and all lives are working together for the betterment of everybody else. That's the Spring Crick Flow, the Spring Crick Radio Show. From the beginning, don't you know, here on that Everclear, sweethearted to hazy radio network, dear. Yeah, I'm glad you tuned in here, because if you wouldn't have, I'd be all alone, man, and I'm glad there's a few thousand folks out there that really show that they care and tune in here every now and then and get their little diosis, I like that word, I wonder what it means, of coyote medicine, wouldn't you say? Because that's what we're here to offer day after day, Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. in the Mountain Time Zone. Certain interests have tried to keep that buried and, keep you in this insanity that says we've always been like these warlike critters. And, anytime we get unified, we always screw up and destroy the earth. So last time we had to go to this tower and build this big tower and get ourselves totally destroyed because we were so arrogant as to build this big tower. That's the story anyway. And they want that to be history. I don't think it is, man. I think the reality's far greater than that. If you want to know a little bit about it, I wrote quite a bit of it into this book called The Atomic Bum, B-U-M, just like your backside that you're sitting on, or the old hobos that used to come knock on your door looking for food and so forth. That was the day. Now they fly signs along the freeway. And they're all strung out on drugs, man. It's just like, why don't you guys just, go buy a pair of Uggs, get your feet warm and get mellow, baby. Be the hobo again. Of course, there ain't nobody there to knock on when you go knocking on doors, except maybe the dog that wants to tear your arm off or something like that. The old way isn't the new way, is it? See, change day after day, moment to moment, too. What you were a moment ago, you no longer are. You're what you are right now, see. Maybe you were the same in that moment. Maybe you're the same in any moment to come. Okay, but maybe you're changing, rearranging all along the way. So don't let them think you're crazy, man. You know, because you're just cool and you're sorting it out like the ever-loving heart fool that you are, man. Because you know somewhere inside your heart and soul that's the way it goes. You know, so much so that it would bury and unbury the fatality and dissolve it away, man. I noticed that way back in the day, that though there were great talents all over the place in the limelight, there were all these little acts and these little bars and hotels all over this country, cafes sometimes too, babies. Woo! That's where the heart of the music is, just like it's there inside of you. You're the one that makes these people famous. You know, ZZ Top would have gone nowhere without all the adoration of the public, see? And notice, if you ever been to one of them big concerts, you know, the audience creates the band, and the band creates the audience, and they're kind of like get into a mutual flow, and pretty soon they're all flowing together, don't you know? Why do you think people pay $100 or $200 or $300 or $400 to go see a star when they're just one of hundreds of thousands of people? Because that's where they experience unity, the vibe of the universe, harmony, graceful synchronistic movement, and so forth. You know, it goes way beyond description. Now, not every concert's that way, but most all of them are one way or another, you see. Oh, those raves, same way, man. But we're a little tuned in to the classic Where We've Been, because that's where we are now. Stuff that came out 50 years ago is barely beginning to find its day today, just like the atomic bomb is. I wrote that book a long time ago. Remember, it's Coyote through and through. In other words, the joke's always on them, the joke's always on you. And me too, see. We do this. We go through it jokingly, like, you know, the wise smile on the coyote, like he knows all the time, or she knows all the time. And she does, and he does. But they always are fooling themselves into seeing what they already be, you know. That's why they survive so greatly, because they're so adaptable, because they are in a constant state of change. They know the joke. That's why they got that smile on their face. They know that no matter how many times you poison them or shoot them or whatever it is you do, that they're coming through. That the coyote will always be here, and anywhere it wants to be across this old turtle island, don't you see? And if it feels like being across the sea, it'll be there, man. And then you'll have them all over Europe and Asia and Africa too, man. You won't know what to do, will you? And well, I don't know if it'd go to Africa. It's too damn hot down there. Too jungly too, man. But even a coyote can live there and thrive, see. This is where you be when you get into your heart, don't you see? You begin to thrive inside, you see. You get a lot better attitude about everything. And no matter how much harassment they throw your way, you're changing day to day, moment to moment, and you're getting it clear, and then more clear. And more clear, you see. As all these levels we got to dissolve away, all these divisions we've created here, and call them dimensions and parallels and stuff, as a way of separating ourselves from life. Well, it's kind of like being locked in a cage in a jailhouse or a prison somewhere. It's kind of like that in a universal sort of way. And we got ourselves several dimensions away from the reality of the truthful flow of love. Yet Spring Creek still flows right here in the 3D, and the flow of life goes on forever, don't you see? We're just here living it euphemistically. That's the coyote joke. That's the coyote way. And when we start to catch on to that, then we play a whole different play in a whole different way. Doesn't it? It's like, first we see it in this rigid old timely sense, you know, got to be there on time, you know, and then it just doesn't seem to matter anymore. It just dissolves away, and there ain't no hours in the day. If you want to see somebody, well, they're there. If they want to see you, you're there too. Just how it works when you're living a life that's true. See, we've been caught up in the fictional reality of the 3D, which is essentially a heartless reality. It says you got to pay tribute and homage to these gods over here before you get anything else here, dear. So in other words, the god of money is what rules here. I mean, now we're talking again in a metaphorical sense, yet it's very real as we're living it. That's the deal. To see beyond what we consider is real. to know something beyond the value of a thing or this thing or that thing, to feel like we have to possess another person or another thing or another thing or another thing, and then worry about people taking our things away, just like we did in the nursery as children, eh? Funny how we never grow up, isn't it, man? We stay in that childlike sort of way, despite our efforts to otherwise to play, to be an adult and be responsible and all that's supposedly cool there. But, baby, that's the life of a fool. The reality is you got to give to yourself in order to be what you are, you see. In other words, you allow yourself to acknowledge, I still have that childlike behavior. And I don't see anything wrong with it, man. Well, I don't either. In fact, the more childlike we get, the closer to truth and living it we are, man, in every way. And I'm not talking about being the bratty child that's all spoiled and wants it this way and not that and that way and not this. And, I'm not talking about the spoiled, needy, greedy little thing that grows up here because they take it all away from you, dear. And what do you do then? You're desperate, see? So you start to develop behaviors and characteristics that really aren't you. But that's what you see that you have to do when the whole world seems bleak and dark and against you. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to get them to pay attention one way or the other, aren't you? See? That's how we live in the 3D until we begin to see that nothing was ever taken away from us. We never compromised ourselves. That was a lie. We lived it, so it seems truth in that regard. When I call it a lie, what I'm saying is it's a fictional premise that we live by here. Totally fictional, totally backwards from the truth. Completely. You see? But when we begin to remember that we are who we are, and in that innocent child that we were born to be is what we are, don't you see? So the more innocent yourself becomes, the more childlike you are, you see? And again, not like a bratty kid. You're not upset anymore. You're content because you see what you were born with, which is the full presence of life. And when you can live in that, everything changes. You're living at levels that even I can't describe, okay? Because we're all just barely starting to remember what that is right here, right now, today. But again, no matter what station of life you be in, it's your turn, babies. And everybody is going to learn. Takes just a few to start it, too. So there's maybe just me and you and you and you and you and you and you and you, about a dozen of us or so, right here, right now. But there's other little shows and other little things going on. So there's a lot of you and you and you, see? More than 100, more than 1,000, more than 1,000,000. I think even approaching 1,000,000,000. I'm say approaching, it might be halfway there. It might be a fourth of the way there. It might be 3/4 the way there. But it's getting there. And once it reaches a certain point, that's the turning point, which has been reached today already. That's what I'm reassured of from those who live in the land above and beyond to say. Oh, it's all around us too. As we settle into this, we begin to see through the fiction of the 3D, man. And we set ourselves free because it all merges, it all melds. And we emerge in a world much different than it ever was before, but it's the world that we kept and preserved for ourselves. It's called expansion, see? So we went into contraction so we could have some expansion, see? You see how that works here in the 3D? It's so simple, it's unbelievable. But this is how it works. And this is how it be inside of you and me and little Okiwan Kenobi, all the rest of us that live here. Sweet Mary J. Well, she's always had it, wouldn't you say? Never let it go away. And that's the little thing that lives in our heart today, this moment, right now. Mary J. She is the way. I'm not saying you have to indulge in the sacred herb. You can if you'd like. It's a beautiful thing. And I highly advocate for her because in that form, because she'll help you not only be healthy, but she'll help you understand, man. She softens up them harsher edges. Yes, she brings up a lot of fear for a lot of folks. But fear is what you don't need to do no more, dear. And she's there to help you get it clear, to step out of the haze and see the bright sunshine you're already living in. When that sun's shining in your heart, baby, then you see it all, and you be it all. And not only that, you love it all because you are the love that made it all, that created it. Not just you, but all these others too. All of this life. It's a mutual effort. It's one conscious presence in everything, and everything having what would be a reflection of that conscious presence, a full presence of that conscious presence of one. The one that is. And I call her Mary J. in a metaphorical sort of way, because that's where that sacred herb leads, okay? Now, you ever notice how all the publications look the same these days and pretty much got the same message? Go to sleep, don't wake up, get lost in this, get lost in that. Well, babies, we don't get lost in anything. No matter what the magazines say on that magazine rack, we know it's all one big love attack. And we ain't persuaded by the normal form of brainwashing now, are we, man? We pick up that magazine, maybe it's a flyer magazine, and it's talking all about the kid pox and stuff. We glean the information we need, and we go from there, see? We don't get lost in the, oh, I want this, oh, I gotta do that, gotta do that, gotta do that. Oh, I'm not living right. Oh, I gotta do it this way, gotta do it that way. Because that's what the magazines, and even the newspapers say, go to sleep. Excuse me. Don't pay attention to what's going on, Just take flight and go to sleep. And yeah, that's right, man. Well, guess what? We take flight all right, but it ain't because we're going to sleep. It's because we're getting high and learning that we already know how to fly. That's why I love planes and stuff like that so greatly, man. I used to be a hang glider pilot way back about 40 years ago. Nothing like flying off tall mountains, don't you know? I tell you what, that was the kick of my life, man. The fulfillment of a dream of many of my ancestors. Boy, did they ever scheme to get in the sky. And they couldn't even fly, man, but they could. They just didn't know it. They were so densified. They were so far away from their reality, you see. So they had to have a machine to get them to fly. Well, so did we. Back in my day, I come over Old Donner Summit one day, trucking, of course. And I looked out there over that beautiful diamond lake down below, man, and there was a hang glider hanging way above it, flying like a little bird, and I says, I'm going to do that. The next day, I was on the Trainer Hill starting to learn how to eat gravel and eventually get that wing up off into the sky, man, and fly that thing and bring it down and try to land it just right so you don't crash in down and eat more gravel. Pretty soon I got the way. Not quite good enough, though, because, babies, it's a pretty unforgiving sport back then. I think they've come a long way, but still, it's something you got to really develop your skill. You got to practice at it where it's safe to do that, or safer, and then, get yourself up there in the big skies. But, ooh, I tell you, the tall mountains are just irresistible, man. And you got to, go with the flow. Make sure that the flow is with you, don't you know? Make sure those little ridge lift isn't like, full of, turmoil, Because there's always turmoil in the air. But, ooh, it's nice when you get up there in the morning, little after sunrise, and the uphill lift is just right. And you take about 2 steps and you take flight. Of course, it takes a bit to set it up and check it out. You don't just hook up and go. You got to make sure it's not going to fall apart on you, don't you know? Because one little string can be the end of your whole thing. So you check everything real swell, and then you just, like I say, you aim yourself into that breeze and get up off your knees, take a couple of steps, don't even have to run, and pretty soon you're flying, and you're the one. Once you're flying up there in the air, it's just you, the wind, and God, man, or whatever you want to call it, you, the wind, and the freedom of flight. Without an engine, without anything, just a little kite strapped on your back, man. And the way you go, getting in that flow, I tell you, I could feel the ancestors with me, too, encouraging me onward, smiling, because we'd finally done what hadn't been done for a couple of thousand years, maybe longer, maybe a lot longer than that, but finally we were doing, which was symbolic for the return of humanity to its reality of flight. Yeah, that's right, see. And from there, of course, things progress into all kinds of different things. Now we got all these little ultralight aircrafts out there that are a whole lot safer than a hang glider ever dreamed of being, and a whole lot more forgiving, too. You just got to watch conditions. The only reason why we like to fly, because it gets us high, reminds us that we are not only able to fly. Listen to Okie back there having a joy, what do you call it, a joy session, man. He did rolling around on his back, happy as a clam. He got a little few pieces of donut this morning, man. He's just all sweetness and light and just right. Same as me, because I got a donut too, man. Somebody brought me a gift today, man. I love my donuts, wouldn't you say? Because they kind of get me high too, man, just in a different way. And just think about the term, getting high. What does that mean? That means we can fly through the dimensions, through the universes, as well as the sky, because, well, when you get done with it, the sky is everything else around us. See, it's like one big molecule here on the Mother Earth, and that sky is our outer coating. And we fit together with other molecules that we can see, like Mars and Venus and Jupiter and things, Saturn and things like that. And they fit together with ever-increasing molecules, which eventually makes a body, one big old body, the whole universe, which eventually makes an even bigger body, which includes all the universes. And here we are, a tiny little speck of dust, man, and all filled with rust and what do you call it? Oh boy, I'm losing my words today. Can't remember what I want to say. Can't remember the words I want to say. What is that? Cohesion? No, it's not cohesion. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. But anyway, it just gets all messed up as it gets older because the moisture's in the air, water's everywhere, and where corrosion, that's the word I'm looking for. Simple thing like that. And I have to search around for it, man. Well, you see, my brain's rearranging quite naturally, getting more in the flow of the heart, you see. So the way I used to remember is not the way I remember now, see. It's kind of along a timeline now, where before it was just memory. Now it's kind of rearranging itself and setting itself up like, pictures in a gallery or something like that. And you got to walk a long way to see all of it, because it goes day to day, moment to moment, This painting's that one, and that painting's that one, and that painting's that one. Put them all together, you got a motion picture, baby. That's what each one of us is creating here. Each and every day, a personal motion picture, a way of seeing it uniquely, that's unique to you, you little molecule. Yet inside that molecule is the story of every life, because each one of us has our own little gallery, and guess what? They're all the same gallery, just given from a different point of view. Now imagine that. There's like, 7-8 billion of us here now? So that's 7-8 billion different points of view, plus all of the animals and the birds and bees and the trees and the flowers that all have another personal experience to add to it, an individual aspect, see? It gets unfathomable after a while, but not really. Because the more you be that, the more you see that, the more you are being that, man. I tell you, that's how we come true. We have to get out of this space where we've been feeling all blue and get back to it. Back to the heart, back to the natural flow of things, which is what hang gliding reminded me of so much back in the day, 40 years ago. Man, that was such a flow, such a beautiful thing to be able to fly. Pretty simply, too, you just had to watch out for conditions, baby, that you didn't foresee because you didn't have an engine so you could do a go-round. So especially on your landing approach, you had to have everything set up just right. You see, and I come descending out of a big old 360 halfway through it, and I go, oh, I'm out of air. What happened here? And I leveled out and got ready to try a downwind landing because that's all I had the room for. And there's a canal bank and a big old barbed wire fence with many wires on it looking at me, and I go, oh, shit, canal bank. Because I didn't think I'd get over the top of either one of them. And that's when I crashed. And that's when I broke my arm, broke my shoulder pretty severely. And as I'm laying there, reiterating myself and making sure nothing else was broke, I could sure feel that being broke. When your body's broke, you know it. You know that whatever it is isn't where it's supposed to be, an arm or a leg or a finger or whatever. You know it ain't working right off the bat. And then you take inventory. And as I'm doing that, I hear this voice, Peter, next time it's your life. Baby, I paid attention, Now, I'm enough of a cowboy. I got back on and took the ride again. a few times just to show myself that I could. That says after everything healed up 6 months later. And then I knew I had to sell it and get on with it. But I was a little stubborn. I didn't want to give it up because it was so much fun. But I did finally. And a few years later, the very same friend that taught me how to fly the hang gliders, well, he's in the ultralight business, and he wants me to come to work barnstorming for him, taking these little Hyper MXs, if any of you know what that is. That's a little flying machine. Looks more like an airplane. It's got a tail and wings, but they're made of fabric, and it's all held together by wires. Similar to a hang glider, but a whole lot more sophisticated. By then they had 3-axis control, same as every airplane, a stick and a rudder, don't you know? And I was pretty good at flying them too. Did a lot of flying with my buddy there, and he wanted me to go barnstorming for him, take him out to fly into the ranches and the farms and stuff and say, hey, look at this neat little flying machine. Talk about an easy way to check on the herd, or fly out to the field and do the ditches and so forth. Well, babies, you should try one, and I probably would have been a pretty lucrative deal for me, but somehow I had a job, a really good job, and I didn't feel I could risk all of that because I had a family to take care of by going barnstorming. Baby, one of my only regret, well, I don't really regret it, but it sure would have been interesting if I'd have done that instead of going trucking, huh? Yeah, well, that's the way life goes. Sometimes you go against the flow, even when you know you should go that way. And I knew it too back then that I should have done that, but I didn't do that. That fear, that security thing comes up, because I'd only get paid by commission, you see. And in other words, I'd have to sell a few of those things to make some money, And son of a gun, I had a regular income, and I knew what I was going to get, and it was pretty good, and I had an expense account, and I was traveling all over the country, delivering these fabulously new little runabout boats everywhere, luxury to the extreme, man. Felt like Santa Claus doing that. And see, I just couldn't give it up. It was an ego thing. I just couldn't give it up. Security, fear, see? But how do you learn, babies? How do you learn? Maybe I'll do that at 75. Maybe I'll start barnstorming for some little ultralight manufacturer. They still make the same machine. Here we are 40 years later, or 35 years later, whatever it was. And son of a gun, they still make the same machine. Different manufacturers. It's gone busted up a time or two, but it's hung around all these years. That's a really good design. I don't think it's ever, well, it's probably killed a few people because you can't fly and not die. I mean, it happens, But I guess as dying goes, that's not too bad of a way. At least you got a moment or two to think about it before you check out. And it's quick. Oh, baby's mind would be diving towards the ground, knowing you're going to buy it, and all of a sudden you fly it. You get within 100 feet of the ground, and all of a sudden that little thing comes back around, and whoosh, you're out of this spin and back to flying again, see? That's what'll happen to you, too. No matter what you do, whether it's, taking a risk in a new career, even though you know you should do it, dear. Don't back away from the fear. Learn from the lessons of us old farts that had to go through it in a way that would make you so sad and so tired. All it did was now get me wired, got me high. See, why do we get high? Why do we love to fly? Because we're angels, baby. And that's a natural way of being. In our soul presence, we are all angels. Yeah, even Rumpy Boy, all the rest of us too. We are all angels, see. That's the field of life we live in. That's our family. That's why angels are so ready to help us out here when we're willing to see and be and hear them. When we welcome them into our heart, into our field of energy, see. When we're not all alone in that. When we see that family is us and us is that family too. All of it. We're together with the flowers and the trees. You got to think about that before you go cutting down the home of the birds and the bees, eh? There's a lot of things here we can be doing differently. In fact, quite creatively. And if you look at our world of technology and how, wonderful it can be, bring us, the freedom of flight for just a few $1,000, at the risk of your life, the peril to your limbs too. But babies, you just got to be wise about everything you do. Don't let that fear, that insecurity sweep you away today. Do what you feel is right in your heart. I mean, it's Free Day Friday here on Spring Crick, the rockin' this little radio show you ever come to know, love, and trust. Yes, indeed. Trust us you must, because we are you, coming back to you in this weird little coyote way, babies. You know, that's the way life works, isn't it, eh? That's why you feel so close to me as a person, don't you see? Because we're all joined together quite naturally. And when we do this, you know, hear a little radio show on Hazy Radio Network, well, guess what, babies? You know, it's just showing us and demonstrating to us that we're already together. That this kind of gathering can grow and grow and grow and grow. It must, because you are the gathering of life. You are the remembrance that you've been looking for. You are in the process now of remembering that you're not alone, that you're here with everyone else, dear. And we're all in this together. And when I say everyone else, I'm not talking just about the human race. I'm talking about the totality of creation. All of it. We're in this together for the betterment of all. So we have to look at it in a little larger sort of way. Roger, Roger. Hey, have a free cocktail on us today, man. It's non-alcoholic. It's the brew that'll get to you, because it's got a little of that essence of sweet Mary J. and maybe a little bit of orangey stuff in it, eh? Down it go, and on you go, flying away through the universes, through all the parallels and dimensions, joining those things together one after another, as all the misunderstanding, that division, dissolves away. And we're on our way home right now, right here today, on these Coyote Airlines, wouldn't you say? Spring Crick Airlines underway. Coyote's your pilot, and Okie is the crew, and Sweet Mary J. is the grand guidance system we follow day after day, okay? So let it be your way. Have it your way. It's Free Day Friday, baby. Set yourself free. Know what you're going to be, okay? We've been rolling on the river quite naturally, only it was in something more than a jet, more than a proud merryman. And that was about as proud as we got back in those days, as close to flying as we could get, eh? Party, party all day long on that river, eh? Well, baby, let's take it now and fly away. Let's dream ourselves into the larger scheme of things, okay? And see where we be after we get that one done quite naturally, right here in this moment of now. And how? Ooh, Spring Crick, the headwaters of life, your moment of truth from a tiny sound booth, found only and exclusively at hazyradio.com on the worldwide internet today. I mean, every day, Tuesday through Friday.